Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Chamber pressure is nominal.
We should have had separation by now. Obviously, this is does not appear to be a nominal situation.
Yeah, it does appear to be spinning, but I do want to remind everyone that everything after clearing the tower was icing on the cake.
Oh! Oh, yeah.
And there, as you saw, as we promised, an exciting end to the Starship inaugural integrated test flight.
That was my week, everybody. That was my week. Hello. How are you? So a lot of you know, because I tried to communicate with you as best as I could, this is why you want to be on randirhodes.substack.com, because I can communicate with you in like real time by email that way. But a lot of you know that Loretta, my mother, passed away. She was almost 93, came very close to being 93 years old. She died in her sleep. It was the way that you would want to go in your sleep on 420. Actually, we buried her on 420. We buried her at 420 on 420 because that's what my mother would have wanted. Not really, but that's what happened. That's how it worked out. And I'm telling you, you know, it's the most horrendous situation to lose a parent. Only because, listen, you know, 92 is a good run. She, as you know, was not, herself. I mean, she was healthy and everything and never had a pain in her life. You know, she had cancer when she was like 52. And it was grim. It was gruesome. And, my sister got pregnant with Jessica. My mother made a vow that she was going to stay alive to see her granddaughter because I would never give her one. And she was correct. So she wanted to stay alive to see my sister give birth to her grandchild. And she literally willed herself through, I can't tell you how many surgeries. I mean, every body part that you don't have to have, she didn't have. They took out everything that you can take out. And the only thing that kept her going was, probably just the sheer will to live, just probably the sheer will to see her kid. Because I mean, the chemo that my mother had, was that good old-fashioned cisplatinum, the kind that makes you nice and nauseous, which is why we introduced the pot into Loretta's life in the first place. And she decided, this is good for you, and learned all the strains and every other thing about. She became the Dr. Joyce Brothers of marijuana and, instilled in me a culture of cultivation. And to this day, I still grow it. I don't smoke it, as you know. But my mother was a lover of the pot. Because we introduced it to her when she had the cancer. And she literally lived to see Jessica. And Jessica was her whole reason for living. She was everything to my mother. And we had to celebrate her life. But there is this thing that I have discovered that is, I'm going to say, God's anesthesia, which I think puts you into a state of shock so that you can plan a funeral because, oh my God, it is, the most unbelievable experience to plan a funeral and to call everybody and people you haven't seen and people you haven't spoke to and her friends and your friends and, relatives that, you haven't seen in 400 years and some good, some bad, some were rekindling, some were like, oh God, get out of my life now, go back to where you were. It was great to see you, but not really. Just an amazing thing. It was but I will tell you that I got all your messages, all of them on multiple platforms. But I will say that SpaceX Starship, that was not the only thing Elon Musk ever blew up. I mean, Twitter is a mess. It's a garbage heap. It's a dump. It's an actual pile of rubbish is what it is. So, everybody lost their blue check marks, which is now a sign that you have some integrity and dignity. Used to be a sign that you were verified to be who you are, to prevent imposters from impersonating journalists, from impersonating newspapers, from impersonating, celebrities who, might want to endorse a candidate or unendorse a candidate or be for something or not be for something. So now you've got everybody that went through the verification process, which is like planning a funeral, basically. You got to get all your papers together, all your papers, get the papers, and present them to, the people, the administrators at the Twitter. You had to show who you were and where you worked and pay stubs and the whole bit. You had to go through more to get a blue check than you did to get a gun in most of your states. I mean, it was just a ridiculous process. But when you got your blue check mark, it was a signal to the people at large that you were who you said you were. And now the blue check mark is being given to people who pay Elon Musk $8. And if you're a corporation, you're paying him $1,100 a month. Oh, F no. So now the blue check mark is the MAGA hat. That's what the blue check mark signifies now. It's not even it used to be a sign that you were who you said you were. It was a verified person. You were listening. And so today I see, I know Stephen King. I'm very lucky to have known him. He owns a radio station in Bangor, Maine, where he lives, called The Zone. And I worked on that radio station, and I was lucky. I mean, Stephen King is a very progressive, thinker. Obviously, he's, excruciatingly talented and, very, prolific in his, there's books and then another book and then a movie about the book and then a sequel to the movie about the book. And it's always, it's always a great read. Anyway, Stephen King, who I know is a progressive, right? He was like, oh, no, I'm not paying this $8 and Elon Musk is going to trash Twitter and blah, blah, blah. Today, there's a guy on Twitter with Stephen King's likeness and Stephen King's, profile picture and with a blue check mark. And it's not Stephen King. So I'm just hoping that Stephen King will, sort of sue and get everybody to pay attention to how bogus Twitter has become. Because I try to send out videos of my, I have so many really cool videos of Loretta, and a lot of you grew up with her just the way that I did. A lot of you know her. A lot of you had a picture of her in your mind's eye, and so I posted some adorable things that we went and looked through all of our phones and found as much stuff as we could so that we could show you whether or not she met what you had in your head. Because I remember when we first went on video, people said, I always thought you were a very big gal with dark hair, and some people even went as far as telling me what kind of car they imagined I drove. It was a red Mustang. No, I'm a sedan girl, always have been. But I have to tell you that, going to my mom's funeral yesterday was not, just regardless of the emotional lift that it takes to do it, okay, that it actually takes to say goodbye to somebody who was responsible for so much about you, so much about your joie de vivre, so much about your joy of life and your fortitude and your stamina and your ability to see the best in yourself, because she only saw that in me. She never saw any of the confusion or any of the well, she saw my pimples. She was very clear on my hygiene, very, very clear, that I needed to wear makeup, get my bangs off my face. Ha! She was right. Get my bangs off my face and, do something after I put the makeup on to take it off to keep my skin in good shape because I was pimply. But she always told me being pimply was good. It meant I was an oily. And oilies don't wrinkle. The dries, they look like a pocketbook by the time you're 40. So be very happy that you're an oily. But when you put on the makeup, which you must do, you need to take it off and you need to use Vaseline. Oh, yeah. You could laugh as much as you want, but my mother, I saw her yesterday, okay? Not a wrinkle on her face. Not a wrinkle. Vaseline, everybody. But then you have to wash because the Vaseline is the Vaseline, so you have to wash. But anyway, going there and knowing what you're going to do is like an emotional heavy lift. And then, on top of it, there's a gas shortage in Florida. And I was on empty. Wait. There's a story. What's happening here is crazy.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
What's happening right now in Miami and in Fort Lauderdale with gasoline is crazy. You can't find gasoline anywhere. This has been going on since Sunday, and they're blaming it on the floods that impacted the port. And I know that was a factor, but it's been 4 days. This should have been figured out by now. And they're blaming it on consumer panic. Yeah, people are panicked because they got to get to work. They got places to go. And you either can't find gas or you have to wait in line for like 2 hours down the street where you're probably going to run out of gas while you're waiting. So yeah, people are panicked. And of course they're filling up, saying don't fill up. Of course you're going to fill up because you don't want to make, you don't know the next time you're going to have to make a 2-hour line. And they keep saying it's going to get better, but it's not. They got to get this thing fixed. This is crazy.
Who is they, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida? Who is they that have to get it fixed? Could it be your governor, who is very busy fighting the wokeness of the happiest place on earth, the Disney? Could it be your governor or the agriculture secretary, who are very busy, saying that, we can't have conversation in school about, gay parents. We can't have conversation in school about transgender children. We can't. No, they want to put the 10 Commandments in Texas. Do you know this? They want to put the 10 Commandments next semester in every single public school in Texas because we can't talk about sexuality, but we should be teaching our children as young as kindergarten about adultery. Now, how do you explain adultery and how do you explain coveting your neighbor's wife if you're not going to go down the sex talk avenue? Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, they make no sense. But here's Marco Rubio, the senator from Florida, bitching and moaning about there is no gas in Florida. Well, there isn't. There really isn't. We went to a couple gas stations on the way to my mother's funeral. I mean, I was literally on empty because I've been running around. I don't know. You have to do so much. There's clothes. There's the whole thing, the whole process of it. Now, that's why most people are choosing cremation, easy breezy cremation. Oh, no, not Loretta. No. My sister, as you know, died early, and it's a crying shame that a parent would have to lose a child. But that was 25 years ago, okay? And so some of us have processed. Jessica never will get through that, never, because that's her mother, okay? And my mother decided that what she wanted to do was to be entombed with my sister, and there's no room for me. You understand? There's no space for me. There's no space for Jessica. It's just the two of them. It's just the two of them in a wall down in Fort Lauderdale. Swear to God. Okay, so here we are trying to get down to the wall in Fort Lauderdale, say goodbye to Loretta, okay, who's not done torturing us. And so I don't have any gas. I don't have any gas because our governor is very busy traveling the world to run for something, won't say what. Couldn't possibly be the presidency. Oh, no, because then he would have to resign as governor. See? So he's not announcing that he's running for president, but he ain't here. He ain't here. He's somewhere doing some damn thing. The other day he was in D.C. doing some damn thing. Now he's going, he's doing like a worldwide tour so he can claim that he's got, foreign policy chops? I mean, this is the sickest thing I've ever heard. So we got problems here in Florida, okay? It rained 25 inches in like a day, and the whole place flooded. I showed you that drone video. And it closed down Port Everglades, which is where apparently South Florida gets our gas trucked in, okay? It comes on a ship, we pick it up, they truck it out of the Port Everglades, and they bring it to the gas. Well, nobody can do that because it's under freaking water. And this guy is AWOL because he's very busy fighting woke. He's very, very busy. Somebody put this together. I think it was Midas Touch, okay? This is our governor's priorities, right?
So because the woke represents a war on truth, we have no other recourse but to wage a war on woke. We fight the woke in the schools. We fight the woke in the legislature. We fight the woke in the corporations. We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. Florida is where woke goes to die.
It's where everyone goes to die, you moron. Oh, my God. So did you see the gas lines? Okay, so they did
I've seen them in person, Rand.
No, I'm saying on the video for the people that don't have the good luck to live in Florida, which is slowly being turned into Alabama. By the way, Brett came to my mother's funeral. That was above and beyond. That blew me away. That he and Tony, his beautiful girlfriend that I have fallen in love with, came to my mother's funeral. I mean, that was just wow.
Well, Tony was not going to not go, and it was the absolute least we could do. And
true.
That rabbi was awesome.
Rabbi Jack, he was like the best, wasn't he?
He was awesome, and I loved seeing Howard and Jimmy. That was great, seeing Jess and Amy and everybody.
Yeah.
But your speech was touching and funny and revelatory, and it reflected exactly what made you and your mother's relationship so special. And
I have to tell you, I never get scared. Like I pick up this microphone every day, right? And you watch me do it, and it's like not a thing, okay? Something happens, and I become a vessel, and all these words that are flowing out of my mouth, they just go right through, right? And I have no problem conjuring, even if I haven't got a thought in my head before the show, okay? Because I've been reading for hours. The second that light goes on, I'm good. It just happens. I mean, that's just a thing, right? It just happens. But I was so scared at that podium. I mean, I was terrified, and I haven't shaken like that.
No, it didn't show.
Oh my God, I was just shaking. I couldn't stop. I'm still shaking a little bit from it. But anyway, so we need gas, okay? And we're going to my mother's funeral. So I go to 2 gas stations, no gas. Like they have covers on all the pumps, right? Because to signal to you there is no gas. Don't even bother. And they're empty, the ones with no gas, right? And so we finally find a gas station, but it's got a line like that, okay? I mean, I could show you, a quick video. No, see, look at these lines. Okay, so this is what you're facing, right? This is sitting in the car. And I'm sitting patiently in the line, and I know what I have to do for the rest of the day, and it's daunting, and it's emotional, and it's draining. And I got Jessica in the car, and she's been through so freaking much loss lately, and it's been horrendous. And now we're sitting in a gas line, like it's 1972. This is why Jimmy Carter didn't get a second term, because of the gas lines, okay? And back then, I had just gotten my driver's license, and I loved sitting in the gas lines because it was the only time my parents would give me the keys to their car. Is if I took it on the odd day, because everything was you could get gas on an odd day, you could get gas on an even day, depending on your license plate. But I loved it because that was the only time I got to drive a car. Well, now I'm hating it because here I am, I've been there, done that. And it's the day of my mother's funeral. So I'm patiently waiting in line and being a good person, and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. All of a sudden, I see the car that I've been behind the whole time. They're getting ready to leave, okay? And Jessica says to me, okay, put on your signal. Just put on your turn signal so everybody knows that you're coming from this direction. You're going, because, you have to figure out which side your tank is on, right? And I said, okay, that's smart. So I do that. And all of a sudden, this guy comes tearing through the gas station and takes the spot. Didn't wait in line, didn't do anything, that everybody else was doing. And he just tears in and just sits and so I'm like, oh no, oh hell no. I'd become a complete and total Karen. I mean, that was because the stress, okay? I literally say to him, back up. I was waiting in line. It's not your turn. It's not your turn. Back up. And he's going like this to me. No, bye-bye. No. And he's sitting in his car. He's I think the early 40s with his mother, with his depleted mother, okay, sitting in the car. And I'm like honking the horn going, no, back up. The guy will not freaking back up. He won't do it.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
So this state is turning into Alabama, is what I'm trying to tell you, okay? So you got these crazy people, rude people, that just don't understand what gas line is, and that you have to be patient. You have to sit in line. Everybody's got a place to go. I'm going to a funeral. And this guy just doesn't give a rat's ass, okay? He just pulls on in and takes my spot. Okay. So now I'm like livid, okay? I'm beyond livid because the pressure of having to, do what I have to do for the rest of the day. Jessica's in the car, blah, blah, blah. I get out of the car, okay? I get out. And Jessica's like, oh no. I get out of the car, I get in this guy's face, and I said, you listen to me. I was waiting in that line, okay? Waiting patiently in that line with everybody else here. I am going to my mother's funeral today. My mother's funeral. You understand me? Okay? I need you to back the F up. And he goes, oh, nice language, lady, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, now Jessica sees he's getting in my face, so she gets out of the car, okay? So I go back in the car because I don't want her out of the car. It's freaking Florida, which is now Alabama. It's Floribama, everybody, Floribama. And I'm in it with a Florida man, okay? So she gets out. I don't know what she says because I'm in the car, and I'm like, so she gets back in the car. I go, now I think he'll move. I think we did it. I think now. Oh, she goes, oh, no, he's not moving. I just called him a, let's say, cop sucker, except the word was not cop. And I said, you did what? She goes, well, that's my go-to. I go, mine's douchebag because you can't say that word on the radio. So, she goes, yeah, well, that's my go-to. So I look at her, we start laughing. And then I go, that's it. I'm not done. This guy is not leaving. And blah, blah. So I get out of the car and I say it again. I say, and I say to him, you're a douchebag. You understand me? This is the worst day of my life, okay? And I want you to see me, and I want you to see that the person you wouldn't back up for is having the worst day of her life, and that's who you wouldn't back up for. That makes you a douchebag today, and you always will be. Well, now I feel like I've gotten, even or something. I don't know what the hell was, total Karen move, okay?
There should be a word for when you act like that, but it's justified.
But it's justified
because Karens aren't ever justified.
Oh,
so
my
there's the difference
God.
here.
Oh, my God. And so now the guy, that's in the pump adjacent pulls out, and everybody in the gas station is motioning me, go ahead, go. And so I pull up, and now I'm beside this guy. I'm like right next to him, okay? And so I'm putting gas in the car, and I've decided, that's it. I'm done. I'm not saying anything. We're not exchanging any more words, blah, 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 because when I get out to put the gas in the car, Jessica grabs my arm. Like, she said to me, this guy could have a gun. This is Florida. Okay, that's that. Now, my child does not live here. She lives in Los Angeles, where they have some gun laws, okay? But she knows where she is, and she knows what's going on here, and she knows that DeSantis is very busy turning this into a backwater place that is rife with hatred and stress and hostile, fearful people. And everybody come July is going to have a gun. Oh, my God, what could go wrong? Holy hell, this place is really, really getting to be the deep freaking South. All right. So I'm getting gas now, and I'm shaking, okay? I shook. I'm still shaking. I've been shaking for 2 days. So this guy, this man, this older man, and you could tell, he was older than me, right? And he had a Band-Aid on his head where apparently, they did a little procedure, and he had something removed, right? Because it's Florida, and everybody's got the cancer. I don't know. But he has a Band-Aid on his head, and he comes up to me, and he says, I just want to let you know that you were right. That guy just came barreling out of nowhere, took your spot. I saw you waiting in line. I saw you and your daughter waiting in line the whole time. And I saw him come and just barrel through and take your spot. And I want you to know that I got out of my car because I thought to myself, and remember, this is a man who's older, he's got to be in his early 70s. He said to me, I just want you to know that if that guy would have taken another step towards you, I was going to kick the crap out of him. But he doesn't say crap. And I said, well, thank you so much for saying that because I never blow up like that. And I don't. Everyone who knows me knows I'm calm, under pressure. You name it. You throw anything at me, I'll handle it. I'll deal with it. Anything you can't deal with, give it to me. I will do it. So I said, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to make it. He goes, oh, no. You were right. So I felt better. But then I realized this is what Florida is turning into. Okay. Anyway. While I'm putting the gas in my car, Jessica is FaceTiming her best friend, who's coming with us, okay, to Loretta's funeral because, there's no way. I mean, everybody that knew Loretta loved Loretta, okay? It's just one of those things. So Jessica is FaceTiming Amy, and she says to Amy, this just happened, blah, blah, blah. And she's saying, I think we know this guy. I think I know him. And so she asks Amy, is it this guy? I won't say his name, but is it this guy? And she goes, I don't know. Let me call his wife and see where he is. So Amy calls this guy's wife, who Jessica thinks it is. And the wife says, yeah, he's with his mother getting gas. So we go back home, and Amy meets us back at the house because, we're going to go down to Fort Lauderdale for, Loretta's funeral. And so I said to Amy when she came in my house, I said, Amy brings us Starbucks and blah, blah, blah. And so I said, do you know this guy? She goes, yes, I do. And I said, well, what's he like? And she said, he's the nicest guy in the world. That it was a complete douchebag move. I mean, I didn't even expect him to ever do something like that, to take your spot like that. But he's the nicest guy. I've never heard him say a bad word about it. And it dawns on me, this is what we're becoming. This is what is happening. You're taking normally very calm, normally very nice, normally very, neighborly people, and you're stressing them out to the point where they're waiting in gas lines. You're stressing them out to the point where everybody is scared of everybody else. Okay, everybody is terrified of their neighbor. Everybody thinks their neighbor is armed. No, everybody's walking on eggshells around each other. And he's creating, this governor of ours is creating a hostile, disgusting, backwoods mentality that is contagious. And everyone in this entire state, or at least in the southern part of this state, who are normally, we're normally Northerners, okay? We're New Yorkers for the most part. Some of us are from the Midwest, but we're nice people down here. And he's turning us into this crazy place. Now, you add guns to this crazy place, what could go wrong?
I was just about to say, I think it goes into the permitless carry goes into effect July 1st, I think.
Yes.
So what percentage does
I just can't even imagine.
Go up that somebody gets shot in that situation? How high does the percentage go up?
I just can't even imagine. Like the added amount of stress that is going to be put on people who are now being forced through mismanagement at the very top of this government. I mean, you saw that video. He was in South Carolina. Then he went to D.C. He's not here. We had a 1,000-year flood. And the ripple effect of it is that Port Everglades was underwater. The ripple effect was that the trucks couldn't get in there to get the gasoline. They couldn't get to the gas stations to fill. And we're all stressed to the gills. I mean, and this guy is sitting in the car. And, I thought it was interesting that he was with his mother. Like, how bad could a guy be if he hangs out with his mother? You know what I mean? And we just find out that this place is becoming rattled. This place is becoming stressed to the gills. This place is becoming Alabama. It's Floribama, okay? And it's inexcusable because and everyone that knows the guy that I got into it with that wouldn't back up for me will swear that we are the nicest people in the world.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show.
It is.
To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
All right, everybody. It is not only Friday, you bastards. It's $5 Friday, you bastards. Yes, it's $5 Friday, and this is your chance to join the Free Speech TV sustaining donor community, okay? Start a new monthly donation of $5 or more today, or increase your monthly contribution to Free Speech TV by $5 or more today. And the first 5 people every half hour to call 877-378-8669, the number on your screen right there, or sign up at freespeech.org will get a Free Speech TV mystery box in the mail. I have no idea what's in it, okay? None. I could just tell you it's not Loretta's ashes because she's been entombed the good old-fashioned way. So anyway, help us grow this critical network. Let's increase our impact in our fight for democracy by keeping us alive and well and happening on DirecTV, on Dish Network, on Apple TV, on Roku, on Sling, and all the other places that you're used to turning on and getting Free Speech TV shows. Thank you very much to keep our world sustainable and equitable for your donation to Free Speech TV today. Again, the number's right there, 877-378-8669, or online at freespeech.org. Brother David.
Talking to my sister.
Hi.
What a week. I wish I didn't know what you're going through, but as you know, I do.
I know you do. I have to just tell you, it started with okay, I find out, this happened, and then the space shuttle, right? So
Right.
Okay, so we were there, and, the space shuttle goes over my house all the time. I see it all the time, and usually at night. So I say, because Jess is not usually here, so I say to Jess, oh, Jess, I know exactly where the space shuttle's going to cross. Let's go outside. I'll show it to you. So we go outside. We're standing there in our stocking feet over here, half dressed, right? And I don't see it. About, later on that afternoon, because I was doing a million things, she was doing a million things. Somebody comes up to us and tells us, you know what, the space shuttle blew up. She said, that's why we didn't see it. It freaking blew up. I said, oh, what a beginning of our week. I mean, everything, and everything, went from there. Then we found out Dominion settled, no trial, no apology, nothing. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's one of those weeks. And then the gas line on the way to the funeral. I mean,
my God.
Come on.
Oh my God. Welcome to the 70s, everybody.
Thank you. That's just what I was thinking when you were doing your spiel. It's Friday's chat room, and everyone listening, randirhodes.substack.com. Take it from there.
It's $5 Friday.
$5 Friday, that's right.
Yeah.
She broke her own mold coming out of it. And the apple did not fall far from the tree, sister.
Oh.
And this is how we keep them alive. You said you entombed?
Entombed, yes.
Excellent.
She's in a crypt. I mean, it's just like, so, I mean, really, it's the words that you hear.
That is so, Loretta.
And that, like, they're asking you at the funeral home, they're asking you, like, so how did she do her makeup, and can you bring a picture and all this? So you're going through every picture you ever had. And I'm looking at her and I'm going, without makeup, Queen Elizabeth. With makeup, Mary Tyler Moore. And then you go, and the funeral parlor makeup artist made her look like Joan Crawford. So we're all going, bye, mommy dearest. I mean, it was just... It was perfect. She would have loved it. She would have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sister, you're in my thoughts.
Thank you. Give me a kiss. Oh.
Kiss goodbye for you.
Yeah, it's unnerving what's going on. It is. It's unnerving. And my delightful sense of humor about the death is, really charming. Gary in Fort Lauderdale.
Randy, we're so sorry for you about your mom.
I got your note from you and Julie. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
But it's so good to know that you two had such a wonderful relationship for so many years. That's how you have to look at it.
Yeah. Well, the rabbi, he was blown away. He was just blown away at the whole family situation. Because he was saying to me, so wait a minute. So your mother had a photograph of your sister's ex-husband in her bedside table? Yes. And your ex-husband is coming to the funeral with his wife? Yes. She's my sister wife. Okay. And is your husband presently? Yes, he's going to be there too. Yeah. And the rabbi is just sitting there going, what do you do for a living? And so I tell him, and he goes, oh my God, you're that Randy.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was.
Well, Randy, I wanted to tell you that I work in Port Everglades,
but
I do it in a boat. I do it at the dock.
Right.
However, at one time I drove a fuel truck, and I used to deliver the fuel to the airport for the jet center.
Yes.
That's where I used to work. So I had, I used to drive the fuel truck. So if there's anything you want to know about Port Everglades, just let me know. But I wanted to tell you about the big flood last week.
Okay, yeah.
Well, first of all, Tuesday night, Julie and I went to a funeral.
Oh.
We had to go way out west. And we couldn't understand why the roads were so clogged up. And the reason the roads were so clogged up is because the gas stations were full of cars, and there were big lines coming out of the gas station.
Yep.
So the whole right lane was taken up.
That's what happened down in Fort Lauderdale too. I was.
We were in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, so we were on Commercial Boulevard, and the reason why you could not get through on 441, you couldn't get through Commercial, is because all the cars are hanging out at the gas station. Oh, and yeah, there was a crime. I swear to God, there were cops everywhere because some guy took the cops on a police chase from Miami to Broward.
Yeah,
and then he decided to jump out of his car, take his shoes off. Okay, this is the time he had. Take his shoes off and jump into a freaking canal. So between that and the helicopters above, I mean, I was like in a movie. I was like, this is crazy.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
That's what he's turning this place into. Yeah.
5 o'clock in the morning, you come out and turn on the news. One story after another, bullet casings all over this place, yellow tape, dead people, people in cars shot up.
Yep.
So anyway, the night of the big flood, when all the rain came, my daughter works 15 minutes from home. She left at 5 o'clock, even though I said, why don't you stay at work a little late tonight till it stops raining? Well, it never stopped raining.
Right.
So she got home 9 hours later at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, my God.
She was on Griffin Road in a 500 car jam because of the flood, and she spent her whole night in the car, and she said people were kicking on the side of her car, banging on her windows, telling her to get out of their way because, you know, they had these big redneck trucks with the big wheels. They could go through anything.
Yep.
And she was so scared, she called 911, and 911 says, we can't do anything about it. We can't get there either.
Yep.
And so this is what it's like in Florida now.
I'm telling you, he's turning us into some you know, backwoods, you know, deep red states South hating, just a stressed out place. And this used to be, you know, the Sunshine States where people came to retire.
This for fun.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why I'm here is because after my mother had the cancer, right, and she came down here, we all followed her down because that's who Loretta was. You just followed her wherever she went. And so that's how I ended up living here, okay, through no fault of my own.
Well, you're much better off where you are than where I am. I can tell you that. And I lived in Miami before I lived here, so at least I got out of that.
Oh, my God.
Let's see, I was going to tell you something else. Oh, gosh, I'm getting so forgetful.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
All right. Well, anyway, I don't know how you believe in the afterlife and all that, but hopefully you see her again someday, not too soon.
Thank you.
Bye, Randy.
Bye. Yeah, this place is turning into a real hateful place. It's turning into a real stressed out place. It's turning into a... Oh, and you know what DeSantis' excuse is? You know, he's running for something. Like I said, he won't say what, because if he announces he's running for president, he has to resign his governorship. Okay, so he won't say that he's running for president, and he's just traveling to South Carolina, North Carolina, then he's in D.C. and blah, blah, blah. All this is going on here. All of it. We had this massive flood that Gary was just explaining to you. Okay, people were stuck in their cars all freaking night in giant, like waist-high water. The man is nowhere to be found. When the gas shortage obviously ensued because Port Everglades it was underwater, you know what he actually had the nerve to say, the temerity to say? And this is all you can expect from autocrats. This is all you can expect from people who only ever think about themselves. So much winning. Okay. He said the reason why people were waiting in line, the reason why they were, is because we were the problem. We were the problem. People in Florida, he said, are panic buying. Yeah, we're panicked because you're the freaking governor. We're panicked because you don't have the brain power to say, you know what? We got ports all over. We're a freaking peninsula. I'll get the gas and I'll truck it down to them until they can, you know, resume operations at Port Everglades. But oh no, because he's not here. He's an absentee landlord, you understand. But we have to live with his rules. We have to live hating each other. This is where woke came to die. This is where I pray to God your career came to die. And, you know, this man is literally in a war with the happiest place on earth. He's at war with Disney, where, by the way, little known fact, he got married. Him and the Jackie O wannabe, his wife, they got married at freaking Disney. Oh, my God.
Mary had a little lamb.
We believe that all men are created
equal to the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me. Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
So we just heard from lawyers representing Dominion Voting Systems after the company settled with Fox. The attorney, Justin Nelson, announced the deal. It's a really unbelievable figure. Fox is going to pay Dominion Voting Systems $787,500,000. Dominion's lawyer saying, quote, today represents a ringing endorsement for truth and for democracy. Fox trying to put a positive face on what can only be interpreted as one of the ugliest and most embarrassing moments in the history of journalism. Fox issued a statement saying, quote, we are pleased to have reached a settlement of our dispute with Dominion Voting Systems. We acknowledge the court's rulings finding certain claims about Dominion to be false. The settlement reflects... I'm sorry, this is going to be difficult to say with a straight face. This settlement reflects Fox's continued commitment to the highest journalistic standards. We are hopeful that we are hopeful that our decision to resolve the dispute with Dominion amicably instead of the acrimony of a divisive trial allows the country to move forward from these issues.
Don't apologize, Jake Tapper. It was hysterical, that statement that they had the temerity to put out saying we remain committed to world-class journal or whatever the hell they said. This was so disappointing. I got to tell you, this was like the worst week of my life, okay, on every front that you could imagine. I went to see the space shuttle, freaking thing blew up. I went to see, the trial for the Dominion trial was going to start. They settled like 5 minutes. They had the jury seated. They were ready to go. I couldn't wait. I thought this is going to be the summer entertainment blockbuster of the year, right? This is going to be everything. 6 weeks. We were going to hear testimony. We were going to see Maria Bartiromo. We were going to see Tucker. We were going to see Sean. You were going to see Lou Dobbs. And I was like, he was fired. So what kind of a disgruntled employee was he going to be as a witness? You know what I mean? I was like smacking my lip. I was so excited about it. And then on the eve, actually it was the day of the trial's beginning, they settled for $787,500,000. And let me tell you something. If anybody thought that Dominion was all about, saving democracy, no, it was about the money. Just in case you were wondering. No, it was about the money. Yeah, and you know how you know? Because look, every single defamation First Amendment attorney said they had never seen a case this strong ever against a news organization, against a public figure of any sort, because the standard to prove defamation against a public figure is so high, especially journalists, especially political journalists. The standard is, and I had no idea. I have been sued for defamation 80 billion times, right? And if I would have only known, how difficult the whole thing was, I probably never would have even hired a lawyer. 5 years over here and 3 years over there, litigating this one and that one. Screw it. I would have just said, you know what? Go ahead, file your motions, and here's my response. Sue me. And I would have just, waited until the court said, okay, you haven't proven your case, summary judgment for the defendant, blah, blah, bye-bye. Just go. I had no idea. So here we were paying, millions of dollars in lawyers over a period of years to defend me being able to tell the truth about torture, me being able to tell the truth about this or that, whatever it was. Okay. But anyway, every defamation attorney was saying how hard it is to prove defamation, but that this case was almost a slam dunk. This case was a bang up. They got communications between the producers and the talent, and Rupert Murdoch said, oh no, I knew that he didn't lose the election. I knew he didn't win the election. I knew it was a big lie. I'm sending messages to people saying, oh, it's not about red and blue, it's about green. And Suzanne over there, the big CEO in charge of the programming, she's saying, oh no, we're scared of the monster we built. Our audience is freaking frightening. They are crazy people. And if we stop telling the big lie, they will go to other outlets that will tell them the big lie, and they will leave us, and they will go to OAN, and they will go to Newsmax, and we will lose money. Number one. Number two, they will attack us because they're lunatics. They're fringy people. They're all armed to the teeth. They're, ready to kill us. So just keep the big lie going. I mean, they had them. Dead to rights, they had them. And then they settle. And Gretchen Carlson, who herself received $20 million in a settlement, and she got a public apology from Jabba the Hutt Roger Ailes. Oh, hi, Roger. Hope you're enjoying it down there with Jerry Falwell and the rest. No, but I mean, she got a $20 million and she got an apology from Roger Ailes for sexual harassment. That was the former CEO and the chairman of Fox News. And she begged Dominion not to settle with Fox. She begged them. She said, please, in caps, Dominion, do not settle with Fox. You're about to prove something very big. She was pleading with them for a public trial. She was begging them to be exposed as the fake news, as the faux news, as the lying sacks of crap that they are, because she thought that's the only way that the audience would ever hear the truth, because they never changed the freaking channel. In fact, the guy that shot Ralph Jarl, that 16-year-old kid who apparently was brilliant in science, he was about to become a chemical engineer. His mother is a nurse. His aunt is a doctor. His father is in healthcare. I mean, the kid was just sciencey, and he was brilliant, and he was quiet, and he was a good-natured, kid, 16 years old. His whole life changed because this man who sat there night after night after night watching Fox News with the volume turned way the F up, okay, listening to this endless summary of fear and stress and who to be afraid of and what to do about your fear, and that this is just a criminal enterprise, this whole country is turning violent and you need guns and blah, blah, to the point where this man had turned into a raging racist, a raging QAnon conspiracy theory believing 80-something-year-old man who, when a kid came and knocked on his door, got so freaked out by crime that he shot this kid in the arm and shot this kid in the freaking head. Shot him in the head. And Fox does not have to say a word about it. Fox doesn't have to apologize. Fox doesn't have to retract. Fox doesn't have to do jack crap except pay almost $1 billion to Dominion, which is like 30%. It's like 30 times more than Dominion was worth. Because, they understood that the first damages that they would get wouldn't be, the big figure. It's always the punitive damages. It's always, the trouble you've caused, the grief you've caused, the stress you've caused. It's always about, having to get security for your employees because they came under threat. They were threatened with violence. That's the punitive damages. They're punitive because punitive means to prevent anybody else from doing it. Okay? These are punitive actions meant to prevent others from copying your bad behavior. Actual damages are what it actually, what your company was worth and how much business it actually lost, right? But punitives could be like off the charts because that has to do with sending a message. And I guess Fox understood that $1.6 billion was not off the table, so they cut it in half and said, this is what we'll give you. And they took it, You know why? They knew they'd win. They knew they'd win at a jury trial. But remember, if the verdict came in from a jury and the jury awarded even the whole amount, Fox would appeal it. And that would cause no money to go out the door pending appeal. And then whatever the appeals court found, one side or the other, whoever disagreed, would go to the Supreme Court. And no money would flow out the door until that was settled. So they were looking at years of not getting this money. Years. And they said, you know what? That's a lot of money. It's almost $1 billion. We'll take it. Well, Fox pretty much said, yeah, but we're not going to apologize. We're not going to do anything on the air. We're not going to, tell anybody that we were lying to them the whole time. We're not going to do jack crap. And they said, okay, you know why? They're owned by a private equity company.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
A lot of it was the kind of QAnon level conspiracies about election denying, and then they got really weird with some Fauci dogs. I really didn't know what that meant. But I would push back on some of this stuff, and he couldn't handle being pushed back on. And at a certain point, we kind of lost touch. And I think it was more of his choice than mine.
Did he say or do things that you found offensive about minorities or people of color?
Yes, he would say some things. I think I can't remember exactly now all that happened, but I know he had something about, had a really hot take about abortion and how something about black women getting abortions. And I didn't know what he was talking about, but I said, I don't really want to talk to you about this anymore. This is racist and it's dumb. So let's move on. And I pushed back, and he didn't like that either at the time.
I mean, that's the grandson of Andrew Lester, the guy who shot Ralph Yarl. And as you know, people are being shot left and right in this country for doing, stupid little things like turning into the wrong driveway or getting into the wrong car in a parking lot. You had a father and his 6-year-old daughter took a bullet fragment to her cheek. Dad got shot in the back because the neighbor boy over there didn't like that their basketball rolled into his yard. And of course, this is America, so what do? You get your gun and you shoot at a dad and a 6-year-old kid. I mean, this is just so bizarre now. I mean, it started, with Ralph Yarl that we understood that you could get shot just by knocking on the wrong door. It's unbelievable. Why? Because Grandpa is sitting in there with like 8,922 guns listening to Fox tell the Dominion election lie over and over and over and downshifting into QAnon conspiracy theories with Jewish space lasers and Dominion and Smartmatic and the pillow guy. The pillow guy has to pay $5 million. Did you hear that? That's like the only good news I bring you today, okay? The pillow guy, Mike Lindell, apparently had this challenge to anybody who could prove that his data about the election being stolen was untrue, was false, was fabricated, was fake. And an IT guy actually decided to take him up on it. And not even a cyber security guy, but just an IT guy. He was able to show to a court that Mike Lindell was full of crap, okay? And the court ordered Mike Lindell to pony up the $5 million. Now, Mike Lindell is sitting on Fox News complaining that the court is progressive, the court was rigged against him. And I mean, it's endless. And these people are being, like, literally triggered to violence, literally being told the world is falling apart. You're being replaced. There's Jewish space lasers. It's a George Soros plot. And the election was stolen from you. And Fauci is, shooting you up with things that are going to follow you around or they're going to track you with it, whatever and the racist swill that comes spewing out of right-wing media with ease, man, just with the ease, like they got WD-40 on their tongues or something, just so easily. It's literally making people, fearful to the point where they're so stressed that they just shoot first and ask questions later. And then they find an attorney who's going to say, I was standing my ground. My rights are never stronger than when I'm in my own home, protecting my fort, protecting my fortress, protecting my home and hearth. Oh, F you. So this is the grandson of Ralph Yarl, who, by the way, was a public safety officer. Yeah, was a public safety officer. And he's sitting there saying, he had guns everywhere. Do you know that? He had guns.
Did your grandfather have a gun or more weapons in the house?
They were all over, yes.
What do you mean, they?
The guns were all over. He had them.
Oh, my God.
Stashed in some spots and had a big locker full of them. And,
a locker full.
But yeah, he was ready to defend his home, as he would say.
Considering the recent history, I mean, is this a recent history that you found your grandfather? Is that why you pulled away from him? Has he always been this way, or is this something new?
I feel like he's been pretty conservative for a long time, which is fine. But feel like in the last 5 or 6 years, it's really ramped up. He was a huge Trump supporter, and between that and then the galvanizing that people have been feeling lately with politicians and ideologues co-signing, violence and domestic violence, domestic terrorism, and even pardoning people who murder other people for differing political beliefs.
Abbott.
I feel like all that stuff has really ramped up his beliefs and radicalized him a little bit.
I'm just wondering, because we've been covering these, and there are usually, not always, there are warning signs. You feel like the warning signs were there. That's why I asked you if this is something that happened recently.
I believe so. The warning signs were there. I wasn't shocked when I heard the news.
I wasn't shocked when I heard the news that my grandpa had had tried to kill a 16-year-old boy by shooting him in the freaking head. I was not surprised. He had guns everywhere. He had lockers full of it, and he was radicalized. This is the kind of talk that we used to use when we were talking about how did Al-Qaeda do it? How did the Taliban do it? How did they get these people to, murder their brothers? How did they get these people to, pretty much, keep women from, going outside without a close male relative? How did they get to, the imposition of Sharia law everywhere in Afghanistan? How did that happen? Oh, well, videos. It was all online. It was all radicalization. It was, just constant preaching. It was the same propaganda over and over and over and over, matched with guns, matched with violent behavior that was applauded by the leadership. See, this is why it's so disgusting that Greg Abbott over there is talking about giving a pardon to a murderer because he liked the murderer's politics and didn't like the murderee's politics. He didn't like the guy who the murderer killed. He didn't like that guy's politics. So he's thinking about pardoning the murderer. I mean, what kind of a freaking country is this going to be? Now, this grandpa, he's like in his mid-80s. He's going to die in jail. That's how he's going to die. Because he followed what Donald Trump was selling, because he bought it. I swear to God, the rabbi made some really funny jokes about my mother, because my mother was a car salesman. I don't know if you know that. But my mother she worked in a dress shop, then she was she was always selling. She loved to sell. She was a natural born salesman. And he was like, she could sell ham to a rabbi. Yes. That's what Donald Trump is capable of. He could sell ham to a freaking rabbi. I mean, and people just buy this crap, and the man he's got 87,692 trials, and they all are about fraud. Tax fraud over here, insurance fraud over there, fraudulent universities, and everything is fraud with him. And people, it's like a sucker is born every minute is really a thing. And this man understood it and radicalized a nice chunk of the United States. The only good news is that there are a small percentage of us, but it doesn't take a whole lot of people to start killing our kids and causing this kind of bloodshed on our streets. Shot in a driveway, shot in a parking lot, shot at a front door, shot because, a basketball. These get off your lawn people, they're armed to the freaking teeth now.
Connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844. All right, it's $5 Friday, you bastards. What does that mean? Okay, so $5 Friday is a really great day for you to give $5 in a monthly donation to Free Speech TV and become a Free Speech TV sustaining donor and be part of our community. Now, if you already have a $5 monthly, consider increasing it by $5 monthly. Or more, whatever is comfortable for you. Now, every half hour, we will give the first 5 people who do a $5 donation a Free Speech TV mystery box. It will come to your house. I really, honestly do not know what is in it. It's a mystery, So give us a call at 877-378-8669 or donate online at freespeech.org. And the first 5 people every half hour that do a $5 donation or increase their sustaining donation by $5 will get a Free Speech TV mystery box in the mail. And just so you know, the reason why we do this is so that we can plan for the future. It's Free Speech TV. I am a show that is distributed by Free Speech TV, and they have 16 employees that bring you independent media like my show, like Tom Hartman's show, like Steph's show, all these shows that you really like. And they make sure it gets where it needs to go so that you can see it. That's what they do. And they protect with their lives, their very lives, independent media, which obviously we need in this here country. So we're trying to build a more honest, more equitable, more sustainable society while the rest of the world sets itself on fire, okay? So if you can do a $5 donation today, that would be wonderful. We would really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Wayne in Oregon.
Hi, Randi.
Hi, Wayne.
I'm going to invite you to leave Bastids and come to Oregon.
Oregon?
I've got a quick 7-point list of reasons why you should. We haven't had a Republican elected statewide office in over 40 years. And all voting is by mail. I'd rather have rain than DeSantis. Tom Hartman broadcasts from Portland.
Yes, that's right.
And there's no threats to abortion, no hurricanes or tornadoes, and we have desert, mountains, coast, beaches, farmland, and one big city. So those are just a quick
Yeah, it's a nice
Yes.
list you got there. It's a very nice list. But don't you have Proud Boys and Antifa running around there? What are your gun laws like? Are they as bad as ours?
We only, boy, I'm not sure what yours are.
And my hair will frizz.
It's not even an issue here.
No. Well, I was
No.
considering, if I could get my bearings, because I'm such an East Coast person.
Mhm.
And so for me, the ocean is east, right? And so if I get lost,
Yeah.
which I do all the time, even with a GPS, even with a Navi, okay, I have to have my phone and Google Maps going. I have to have my car going. I have no sense of direction. It's the weirdest thing. But if I could get my bearings and start thinking the ocean is going west, like I lived in California and I was all bamboozled. I was all turned around. But if I could, I would probably consider now Washington State. Why? Because they're banning assault weapons there.
That's not a bad idea.
Right.
We only have one big city here in the entire state.
Yeah, Portland.
So,
right.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And so those things, the big city issues are just irrelevant to the rest of
Well,
the
it's
state.
not. These aren't big city issues. These are Republican issues.
Yeah.
These are Texan issues.
Same
these
thing.
These
Yeah.
are Missouri issues. These are armed,
Yeah.
stressed out people issues. It has nothing to do with living in a
Yeah.
city. In fact, if you live in a city, you're
Yeah.
probably less likely to run into crime than you are in freaking rural America. Rural America is armed to the teeth. Everybody hates everybody. One is set upon the other. Now they want to tell the kids to hate other kids that aren't like them, and it's such a bizarre scenario that the rural people in this country are craving or wanting to go back to. Do you know? And I swear to God, today we're going to find out something. And this is creepy, but today we're going to find out whether or not women will die in droves, in massive numbers, because today, the Supreme Court was supposed to weigh in on the Mifepristone question, as if that's a question. I mean, we're really living in a country which is run by the Taliban mullahs at this point. So what we have here is a decision about whether or not a 23-year-old drug when I say 23 years old, that's not even accurate. That drug has been used since the 80s in Sweden, in France, in the UK, okay? And then it went through a 4-year review in the United States, like beginning in 1996. 4 years, 4 million women later, mifepristone has one of the safest, best safety records. It's safer than, your Cialis. It's safer than the little blue pill, okay? It's safer than Tylenol, for God's sake. It's one of the safest drugs on the market, and it went through this rigorous thing with the FDA and 4 years of testing, and I think there was 16,000 participants in the drug trials before it got FDA approval, right? Now, 23 years later, 4 million women later, Clarence Thomas and his ilk, okay, these people for whom there is no law are going to make new law deciding whether or not women have to have surgical procedures instead of being able to take a 2-pill regimen, which is also used, by the way, for women who wanted to be pregnant, still want to be pregnant, but unfortunately, it wasn't their time. The universe said no, and they had a miscarriage, okay, which is emotional enough. Now they give them the 2-dose mifepristone, misoprostol, to clear out, I hate to be graphic with you, but we have to be, to clear out their uterus of anything remaining so that they don't get septic, so that they don't get bacterial infections, so that they can clear and get ready for the next try, which is a good thing, right? If you're pro-life, it's a good thing to save the life of a woman, save the life of her freaking womb, her uterus, and let her try again. But oh no, oh hell no. Supreme Court was supposed to, on Wednesday, decide whether or not they were going to uphold Judge Kaczmarek's singular opinion about women and what should be available to us, and whether or not they were going to then ban the use of one of the 2 drugs in the 2-drug regimen. So then they kicked the can down the road because that's who they are. That's what they do, right? Because they want to write it down. They want opinions. So they wanted to write their opinions. They need a little more time. So today is the day. Midnight is the cutoff, right? And this is their self-imposed due date. And I promise you, they're not going to do jack crap until it's well into Friday night, right? This is when all the big news gets dumped upon ye. So I'm guessing after network news is over, they will get around to releasing their considered opinions about how many women must die because of their religious convictions, because of their particular interpretation of the Bible. I mean, I honestly, this is so bizarre. This is so Sharia. This is so, proselytizing. This is so, it's a death cult. It really is.
Fatality. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Do you think that mifepristone and some of these pills that result in abortions should be illegal around the country?
Well, Alex, I'm pro-life. I don't apologize for it. The reality is that 20 years ago, the FDA exceeded its authority in approving the abortion pill. And at the end of the day, I fully support efforts to take the abortion pill off the market. I think I'm pro-life. But I also believe that it's caused great harm for women around the country.
Whose life are you pro? Whose life? Certainly not the grown woman who is trying to live her life. You're not pro her life. Like I said, the only tough thing we have left to do is to convince guys like Mike Pence and the Sharia mullahs that run around, cloaking themselves in, the Ten Commandments, which is Moses's best work, not Jesus. Moses. Like, let my people go, Moses. Yeah, like that guy. They're cloaking themselves in pretty much Judaism and perverting it and saying women could die because of the our only job here is to convince them that women were once a fetus. Other than that, they won't give a rat's ass about our lives. We could all die for all they care. And, the idea that women should be barefoot and pregnant and make more white babies, because in his head, that's what's going to happen is women will be forced, especially in the Deep South where there's no access to anything anymore, where people are dirt poor and people are predominantly white in his freaky mind. They will make more white babies for him. This is a very sick thing.
Pence characterizing mifepristone as the abortion pill is so despicable and misleading and dangerous when it has so many pro-health functions. It's so on brand for them.
Listen, they don't give a damn about anything except having people back in bondage, having people back in stress, having people live in strife, having people not be able to feed their family, not be able to put food on their... Remember George Bush? We got to put food on the family. I mean, honestly, these brainiacs have it all figured out for the 21st century, don't they? The 21st century in their mind looks just like, 2000 BC. I swear to God. You know what year it is for me? It's 5783. Okay? 5783. And the people who have been around the longest think that what you're doing, Mike Pence, is anti-biblical, is anti-life. It's disgusting what they're doing. And now, and they're going to dump this on us on a Friday night so that everybody will be trying to, amuse their boredoms when this news falls out of the mouths of the 6-3 illegally taken Supreme Court. And why do I say illegally? They all freaking lied. And this one judge, this Kaczmarek dude, he lied just like Clarence lied. He lied. I mean, this guy covered up all of his fortune. We don't even know where his money comes from. And apparently he was told that he needed to present to the confirmation to the Judiciary Committee ahead of his confirmation to be a federal judge in Amarillo, Texas, every writing that he had ever been part of, or every opinion that he had ever authored, every appearance he ever made on radio or television. And he decided to lie about all of it. He did not disclose that he has investments, multi-million-dollar stock holdings concealed from the confirmation committee, the Judiciary Committee in the Senate. And also this lovely little gem, okay? This is Judge Kaczmarek recorded on a Christian radio station blaming women's freedom for where we are today, the sexual revolution and all, and us being able to take the pill to prevent unwanted pregnancies and still partake in the joys of sex was somehow something a bridge too far for him. It was the corrosion of his culture. And he felt very emboldened to tell this to a radio talk show host, but not to the confirmation, the Judiciary Committee in the United States Senate. This is why they refused to confirm him, I don't know, like 4 times prior. 4 times prior, he was not confirmed, even though his name was put forward, because people understood he was a mullah. People understood that he was willing to lie. I mean, they love the 10 Commandments. Doesn't it say, do not bear false witness? Doesn't that translate to don't tell lies? Well, that they think that they made some deal with, God. I hate to tell you who your deal was with, but it wasn't God. God's very clear about don't lie. He's very clear about coveting things. Very clear about it all. But he decided that his deal was with God, and God would permit him to lie and conceal and to make a fortune, multi-million-dollar fortune, and conceal that, just like Clarence concealed his. Clarence, there was a space on Clarence disclosure form for, Ginny. Like, has your wife made any money? And he wrote, no, none. My wife made none. It was almost $700,000, $686,000 that she was paid from the Heritage Foundation. He refused to disclose it. Didn't disclose his deal with Mr. Harlan Crow over there, the Nazi collector, the Nazi memorabilia collector. No, they don't disclose. And then, Amy, she sat there, and Gorsuch sat there, and Kavanaugh. And they all said, no. This is settled law, this thing about the women. It's settled law. They have a right to privacy. They do. It's, precedent on precedent is what it is. Liar.
He's supposed to disclose any interviews, media, articles that he's written. And he didn't disclose these 2 interviews that he did on Christian Talk Radio, where he talks about gay rights and contraception. And what's interesting is that gay rights and abortion were 2 issues that proved to be flashpoints during his nomination process. He was asked about these again and again and again. Both of these interviews took place in 2014. They were shared by his employer at the time. And he was brought on by, according to the host's own words, to talk about the homosexual agenda. And I'm just going to run through a few of the things that he said on this show. Now, he said that the federal government had joined the culture war against same-sex marriage opponents. He says being gay is a lifestyle. The host brings up that Christian groups, he feels like, could eventually be viewed as hostile to the government, almost in line with Al-Qaeda, and he says he agrees.
Oh, my God.
And just take a listen to this quote where he talks about divorce,
oh my God,
contraception, and the sexual revolution.
Yeah, and I just want to make very clear, people who experience the same-sex attraction are not responsible individually or solely for the atmosphere of the sexual revolution. It's a long time coming. It came after no-fault divorce. It came after we implemented very permissive policies on contraception. The sexual revolution has gone through several phases. We just happen to be at the phase now where same-sex marriage is at the fore.
Whoa, very permissive policies on contraception.
Yeah.
That's an interesting turn of phrase. What is Judge Kaczmarek saying now about why he didn't disclose these radio interviews before his Senate confirmation?
So we did reach out to his chamber, and what Kaczmarek told us was that he did do a search for these interviews. He said he didn't find them, telling us in a quote that he did run searches for all the media, but did not locate this interview and did not recall this event, which involved a call-in to a local radio station.
No, it wasn't. He wasn't a caller. He was a booked guest. Okay, and he called in to do his interview, his planned, scheduled interview. Now he's pretending I was just calling talk shows. Well, you know what? If you just randomly call talk shows to complain about contraception and no-fault divorce and gays and all this stuff, and nobody was soliciting your opinion for any reason, you got issues that I can't help you with. You got problems that are way, way bigger than you think you do. But this is not the only thing he concealed. He concealed money, multi-millions of dollars. He concealed where his investments are. He also concealed the fact that he had authored a paper for this Liberty Foundation that he works for, you know, this right-wing it's like a very ultra right-wing interpretation of Christianity. And he authored a paper that I swear to God, if it was in Farsi, you would think the Taliban wrote it, about women, how we really shouldn't be outside without close male relatives. We really can't be trusted with contraception because we lose our minds. We just think sex is okay, is what it is. And that's, a degradation of our culture, and that's anti-Christian behavior and blah, blah, blah. And when that paper came to light, he literally removed his name as an author of it and said, he only helped them lightly edit it. This man is a world heavyweight champion liar, as they all are. They've shown you who they are. Believe them. Believe them. They do not have your best interests at heart. I do. So here's my advice. If you're lucky enough to have a mom, call your mother.